holidays. So we've taken a family trip down to Augusta. We've set up with our camper trailer. Kids have got the hammocks over here. So we're down here for about a week to explore the Leeuwin coast. Don't worry, I brought my landscape photography gear, so I'm hoping to get out for a shot. But what I did want to show you was what I'm enjoying as my backyard for the next week. Augusta has a fairly rich history. One of the things it's known for is its lighthouse. So I've done a little bit of bush bashing and tried to find a good perspective of the lighthouse. It's really tricky because there's plenty of cloud in the sky and I've got a feeling that it's going to block the sunset. But I've tried to find a location where if there is a little bit of colour in the cloud, this position will be really nice. So I'm just clambering over some of the rocks here to get down to a bit of water that's a little bit smoother, a little bit calmer, and that's going to be my foreground. In the midground are going to be some rocks, and then in the background is going to be the lighthouse itself. Hopefully that'll work nicely. Actually, the lighthouse has just turned on, so that may even feature in my image as well. So from here it looks quite nice, but I need to get around these rocks here. Try and find a slightly better perspective. I want to be fairly low to that water so it features in the foreground. This is not looking as easy as I thought it was going to. I reckon I could get down there, but getting back's going to be the hard bit. That's not my issue for now, is it? Okay. All right, that's not too bad. That'll actually work quite nicely. And I think if we get down here, it'll work very nicely. Okay, I'm going to get set up now. I'll get back to you soon. Now, I do unfortunately feel like I'm a little rushed, so I'm trying my best to slow down. But in my hurry to get out here in time for the sunset, I've left my graduated filters back at camp, so I don't have them with me. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I can't take a landscape shot here. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bracket my shot, and I'll explain why. First of all though, I'm going to talk you through my composition. So I've got some rocks in the foreground, I've got some calm water in the background with some more rocks. That's kind of like my mid-ground point. Then we've got the rough sea and then the lighthouse in the background. The light in the sky is quite bright and the light in the rocks is quite dark. So normally I'd have a graduated filter that goes over the top of the image to darken down the sky. As I said, I don't have those with me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bracket a series of shots where I expose for the sky to try and darken that down, and then I'm going to expose for the rocks in the foreground, and I'm going to try and lift that exposure so I get lots of detail in the rocks and in the shadows. I am getting some nice light that's just hit the clouds in the sky, so I'm going to start taking my shots and see whether I can get the best out of that beautiful, beautiful pink in the sky. Taken a couple of shots there, they're looking really, really good. I've still got some beautiful, beautiful light in the sky, so I'm just going to go round to the shore to my right hand side here, just see whether I can pick up something else before the light completely vanishes and I head home for tea. All right, so the light is very, very quickly diminishing. I just came down to the shore here. The water's not rough because the rocks in the distance there is protecting the shore from the waves. So it's actually quite calm and peaceful down here. But I've just got a little bit of a pattern in the shore here and a couple of rocks in the foreground that's going to anchor my shot, hopefully. I've still got the lighthouse in the distance and just some incredible colour in the sky, and that's what I've gone for. So I've bracketed a series of shots, but I've manually set the exposure. What I mean is I've kept the ISO at the base ISO for this camera, which is 200. I've set the f-stop for this shot at f13. My previous shot that you saw me take, the f-stop was at 16, I think it was. So I expose for the rocks in the foreground, which means that I need to extend my exposure. I need to lengthen my shutter speed. So I start off with a shutter speed of 1 second. Then I take another shot at half a second, another shot at a quarter of a second, 1/8 of a second, and then finally a fifth shot at 1/15 of a second. By the time I get to 1/15 of a second, the exposure is just right to capture the very rich colour in the sky and not have any areas in between the clouds blown out, which is just perfect. Once I get into Lightroom, I'll merge them together as a HDR image and I'll have my final image to share with you guys. Anyway, I'm starting to get bitten by the mozzies. They're out now that the sun is down. So I'm going to head off back to the car and then grab tea back at camp. This is a lovely spot and I'm really, really lucky that I found it. It's a nice little protected area just east of the lighthouse. And it was fantastic to get that colour as well. I'm disappointed that I didn't have my filters with me, but that'll just teach me for next time. I need to be a little bit more prepared. I'm also a little bit disappointed about how big the lighthouse ended up being. Because I had wide angle lenses with me, it really did make the lighthouse in the distance just tiny. Regardless of that, if you like the images, let me know in the comments below. If you're new to my channel and you like landscape photography, then please consider subscribing. And if you do, please hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I upload my next video. We're down here for a couple more days, so that hopefully there'll be at least another video from down here. But until next time, guys, thanks very much for watching.